With our position preview series covering the defense rolling right along, it's time to talk about the nickel position. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads webcast as we continue to roll through our position preview series here, looking ahead at the 2025 West Virginia Mountaineers. Moving through the defense now, we're up to the nickels, which there aren't a ton of nickels listed on the official roster, but I think some of these guys are really impactful, especially some of the top names there that we're going to cover at the top of the list here. So only 4 to cover here, not as lengthy as some of our other position preview videos have been, but this position is going to be impactful nonetheless. So we definitely need to talk about it here. So before we get into it, let's hit you guys with a quick reminder, let you know if you hit that like button, it really does help us out a ton on this channel. It'll help this video be pushed out to more people. It can find more Mountaineer football fans like yourself. And if you are a WVU football fan and you haven't yet, no better time than now to hit that subscribe button. Preview and recap episodes coming for each WVU football game, film reviews for channel members, player grades, all kinds of great stuff there. So if you're a fan of WVU football, you like keeping up with the roster like this, recruiting, transfer portal movement, all of that, we'll keep you covered here on the Country Roads webcast. Just hit that subscribe button, get these videos directly into your feed. And now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about these nickels. All right, so leading it off with a look at the nickel position on our CRW roster tracker, as we've done for all these position preview series. And you can see this one kind of similar to, I guess, our series on the Bandits, or our video on the Bandits, rather. Only 4 names to cover here, but I think we got some really impactful players here that we're going to talk about as we go through this list. So let's highlight each of them, and then I will give you my projected pecking order to wrap up the video. All right, first up, let's talk about the redshirt senior that West Virginia brought in from Virginia Union, someone that flew under the radar as a transfer. Maybe it's because he's coming from Virginia Union. Not a lot of people knew a lot about him. He's played his whole career there at Virginia Union, but able to finally move up here for his final year of football, play some power conference ball, 5'10", 194, and he played safety pretty much exclusively at Virginia Union. He would kind of line up in the slot at times, but man, was he an absolute ball hawk there for Virginia Union. 2 interceptions his redshirt freshman year, 5 interceptions his redshirt sophomore year, and then 2 interceptions last season. So 9 interceptions over his 3 years at Virginia Union. That's pretty impressive there. 36 career games, 20-plus starts. Last year, he had 56 tackles and 11 and a half TFLs. So not only is he a ball hawk, but he can get in the backfield if you blitz him as well, which will help him play in this position at WVU, being one of the nickels. I think that he has a great chance to play a lot this season. Hopefully he can showcase some of those ball hawking abilities here at WVU, because that's something we've struggled with in recent times, is being able to turn over the opposing offense. So if he can come out here, get some interceptions, get some TFLs, make some plays there at that nickel position, I think William Davis will prove to be a really good pickup for the Mountaineers coming over from Virginia Union. Next up, we have a fellow senior who was one of my favorite transfer additions that West Virginia was able to pick up this offseason. And I guarantee you guys out there throughout Mountaineer Nation, he's going to be a fan favorite once the season rolls around, because this guy right here will hit you in the mouth. He will lay the lumber. I'm talking about hits that we haven't seen the likes of which probably since Carl Joseph. This guy is a hard hitter. He's got a nose for the football. He made a ton of tackles playing at Jack State, which is where he comes over from. 5'11", 206. And I think with him, he's more of the kind of in-the-box type player. So I think situationally will depend on how West Virginia uses these nickels. If it's more of a passing scenario, maybe you go with someone like a William Davis, versus if it's more of a run scenario, more of a thing where you need some, heavier personnel on the field, so to speak, you bring in Fred Perry. But that's not to say Fred Perry can't hold his own in pass coverage. He can do that very much as well. He was preseason All-Big 12 third team by Phil Steele heading into this year. He's played in over 40 career games. Last year playing safety at Jack State, he had a hell of a season. First team all-conference, led Jack State with 110 tackles. So you can see how this guy flies all over the field. 47 of those were solo. He added 3 sacks, 10 TFLs, 2 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles. There's that hard-hitting ability. 2 hurries and a fumble recovery. One game last year against Eastern Michigan, he had 19 tackles. So I'm telling you guys, you're going to love Fred Perry. He's going to fly all over the field. He had multiple double-digit tackle games last season. That's how you end up with 110 tackles. So cannot wait to see Fred Perry as a Mountaineer. Like I said, I think he'll be a fan favorite, and you guys are really going to enjoy his game here at WVU. And that brings us to the lone returner here at this position and the lone sophomore at this position, and that's Zay Jennings, 6 foot 192, back for his second season. And last year he played the spear position, which is kind of essentially what this nickel position is in this defense, just under a different name. So he kind of has some experience playing this position, albeit in a completely different scheme. So it's still going to be an adjustment for him. But I think what you love about Zay Jennings is how high the ceiling is. You can just see him oozing with potential when he's out there on the field. That's how he avoided a redshirt. That's why he comes back as a true sophomore instead of a redshirt freshman, because he played in all 12 games last season, played some at spear, ended up, playing a ton of special teams. He had one big hit that stands out as a special teamer on a kickoff coverage play. That's definitely one of the highlights that I remember from his freshman season. But I just really remember the coaches raving about him and how good they think he could be in the future. So I think, now and from here on out is when we're going to start to see that happen for Zay Jennings and see him come into his own and hopefully reach that high ceiling that he has here as he moves into his sophomore season at West Virginia. And then lastly, we have to talk about the only true freshman listed at this position, and that's Chris Felipo. And funny enough, though, when you look at his size in comparison to everyone else at this position, 6'4", and he's doing that coming in that way as a true freshman, 6'4", 208. And this was a guy that, in the recruiting cycle was probably kind of considered a tweener. Like, is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? And that's why this position, I think, is perfectly fit for Chris Felipo with his 6'4", 208-pound frame as a true freshman. He could be a dynamic nickel for West Virginia in the future. We'll see how long it takes him to, mold into that, but I think he definitely has a lot of potential. This first year, he's probably not going to find his way onto the field too much playing that nickel spot. His path to playing time is probably similar to what Zay Jennings was last season. That's playing some on special teams. But when he has that type of frame, and then you get to get him into this collegiate program here at the power conference level, let him work with all we have there with Mike Joe, get him bigger, faster, stronger. Man, he could be a lot of fun to watch at that nickel spot throughout his career as he moves forward. We're happy to have Chris Felipo on the roster as a true freshman, which rounds out the names that you have here at the nickel spot. But what's my projected pecking order? Let's talk about that now. So as far as my projected pecking order kind of goes, I think I kind of gave it away a little bit there, because I definitely think Fred Perry and Will Davis will be your kind of go-to guys there at that spot. A little bit of a caveat, if you do want to shift in, like let's say you put Scooter Scruggs essentially as like a slot corner in a formation, he's essentially playing this nickel role then. So there will be some occasions, I think, where West Virginia might use some of their corners in this nickel spot. But I think all in all, you'll see Fred Perry there a ton. He'll probably be the first one you see out on the field, and you'll see William Davis there a good bit. And I think they'll use him kind of situationally. Like I said, Fred Perry, more so if you need to go a little bit heavier. If it's an obvious passing down, maybe you bring in Will Davis, who's an absolute ball hawk, can get some interceptions. But both those guys can be used interchangeably as well. Not to say that either one of them can't do what the other one can. They can. I just think William Davis is a little bit better at coverage. Fred Perry is a little bit better coming downhill and hitting somebody in the mouth. So that's kind of the way I see it. But I think those two will be the two that you see most playing at this nickel spot. Then you would go Zay Jennings, kind of giving them reserve reps. And I don't know how much we'll see Chris Felipo at this spot this year. Like I said, probably more likely on special teams, but I still think he has a bright future. So for me, I'd go Fred Perry 1A, Will Davis 1B, and then you reserve there Zay Jennings, and then maybe Felipo in a pinch, and we'll keep an eye on some of the other corners shifting over and kind of playing this spot situationally throughout the season as well. But that's just the way I see it. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours, though. Drop it in the comments down below. Let me know how you're feeling about the nickel position this upcoming season at WVU. We appreciate those interactions as they continue to help us grow the Country Roads webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.